Bitcoin has now set a new local higher high than the high that we set back in the middle of June, and a lot of people are excited thinking that this is the bullish reversal in which we have been looking for, over the last few months. Well, I think that we are definitely taking a lot of steps in the right direction, but I think we have a few more steps that we need to take in order to truly confirm that. And so what we're going to talk about in today's video is what different levels that we do need to reach, and if we do fall, what levels of support that we need to find in order to continue this uptrend, to find that bullish reversal pattern, and to find that confirmation that this bullish cycle is still in progress. So that's exactly what we're going to be going over today. If you are excited, of course, you can let me know by smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel if you are new. Now, by the way, I do have a little bit of a sinus infection going on right now, so if I do sound a little bit foggy, if I'm not sounding the best, I'm totally fine. I'm just a little under the weather today. But with that being said, of course, let's go ahead, let's jump into the computer here and let's get it going. So Bitcoin did about exactly what we said it would, right? I mean, it was almost spot on. We've been calling this thing for the last 2 weeks. We've been calling this movement, right? And so what we saw is that we did see this big increase here, right? Once we saw this big movement upwards, I said that we were going to fall, and we were going to fall fast, and that we would need to find support on one of our key levels. Now, of course, our first key level of support was going to be that 382, which was going to be this yellow line right here, and that was the very first level of support. I was not 100% sure that that was going to hold as well as it did, but I said that we needed to find support on one of our fib retracement levels in order to continue upward, because we had to make sure that we set just a little temporary higher low there to find that support, to find upward continuation. Now, I personally was not expecting to find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 green candles in a row, but I did think that there was going to be enough upward buying pressure from one of these fib retracement levels to let the uptrend continue, so we could at least set that new higher high. That's all I said. I was like, we just need to set the higher high. Even if we come back down after that, we just need to set the higher high, and that's exactly what we did. So the previous high in which we saw was actually going to be on June, 15th, 2021, of course. So about a month and a half ago, about 6 weeks ago, we set that high there. Well, as you can see, we absolutely blitzed through it. I mean, we smashed through it, and then we found some resistance here, and now we're kind of squeezing in between these levels. Now, this second level of resistance that we're looking at right now is actually going to be our high back from January 8th of 2021. This was the high in which we set before we saw this big rally all the way up into the high 50s, low $60,000 range. And so I kind of figured that this was going to be that last level in which we would need to see us clear before we could really start to see this upward growth pattern as we saw here. And as you can see here, I'm not sure if the audio or the video capture will see it, but if you see this red line right here that's running across, I mean, we're running at resistance exactly where the resistance was then. So we can see that it creates like this little box, right? There's a little box right here of resistance between these 2 points where these two highs were. This high and this high creates this little area of resistance in which we're running into right now. So you can see it. This is the little box that we're talking about, okay? So what we need to see now is one of two things, okay? Of course, as we do define an uptrend is simply going to be when we can see that the price of an asset or the crypto, your stock, whatever you're looking at, we're going up, we're setting, of course, higher highs, we come down, we set higher lows. Then we go up, higher highs, it comes down, higher lows. That's an uptrend, right? For the most part. I mean, that's about as simple as it gets. So, of course, what we need to see now is that even if we do fall, and yeah, we can get rid of this, even if we do fall, that we need to make sure 100% that we do not lose this previous level of support. Basically, what I'm saying is I don't want to see us do something like this, and we set a low down here. Of course, no one wants to see that, but that would absolutely say, okay, this might not be the uptrend we're looking for. We could then be looking at some type of expanding wedge. We could be looking at, then in that case, something along these lines, right? We could be looking at something like this, and then that's a whole different story for a whole different day on what we would need to see from there, and I don't like expanding wedges. I don't like being in them. They're very frustrating, okay? And so what we need to see, again, is that we do just come down at some given point, and we do set that higher low. Now, when we go down and set that higher low, I'm not 100% sure, honestly, because what we're seeing right now is we're starting to see a bit of a squeeze again, okay? Where we set that, where that previous high was, we are setting a bit of support there, seemingly. It seems like we're doing a good job today, at least. And then we're also running into some resistance. So there's kind of that squeeze between these two levels. So this could establish itself as support enough that we see upward continuation, and we'll talk about that in a second. Or we may see a bit of a rollover here, and we may start to see a bit of a fall. So let's talk about both options, both scenarios, of course, because people say, well, Tyler, you're saying it can either go up or it can either go down. I'm not saying what it's going to do. I'm saying when we see a move, when we see a reaction, when the market does this, look for this. If it does this, look for this. I'm not here to tell you what the market's going to do, because no one can, right? No one has crystal balls, and no one can be 100% right? So my whole goal here is to show you when this happens, this is what I'm looking to see. So if we do see a fall, I'm looking for a few things, okay? If we see a fall, I'm looking for a few things. Well, realistically, I would like for us to see if we can hold that 382 again. I would say that that would be very optimal, especially considering the fact that on this uptrend from this high down when we came here, we retraced all the way back to the 382 before finding support again. And so it seemingly is holding a support recently. And so that's going to be roughly about the 37,262. Now, the next thing that I would like to see is that, okay, if we start to fall and we lose that, the next level that I would like to see that we can hold and close above, of course, is going to be about the 34,262. Those are my two key levels. I think the 0.5 has kind of been giving out recently. It's not been holding us support the absolute best, but I would definitely like to see that we can maintain that 618 and not lose our 618. I'm going to talk about the 618 in a second here, as it's a very, very important range for Bitcoin, and it's something that's held up time and time again, and has been a key indicator of if we're seeing a retracement versus a reversal. Okay, again, if we're looking at a retracement coming up sometime soon here, which I think is very healthy, especially after 10 days of green, a retracement looks something like this: the establishment of support on one of our support levels, upward continuation to set a new high, or a reversal. Of course, it looks like the loss of our retracement levels, this key region here, and then from there we do start to set new lower lows, and then this is some type of just big dead cat bounce. Okay, so speaking of dead cat bounces, now what we need to talk about is if we do start to see some upward momentum, where am I expecting this thing to go? Well, of course, the very first level I do want to see is clear. It's just simply going to be this layer of resistance. This is the last point in which that we were at. It's about, on this chart alone here, it's about 42,300, but I know on some charts it's about 42,400. So I would just like to say that we can get to 42,500. I would say that'd be optimal, because that then allows us to clear that January 8th high that we set back there. And of course, that's just a very good step in the right direction. And I do believe that if we do clear that, then we could be able to establish it as support, as it is holding as such strong resistance. When you break resistance, you want to use it as support, right? But from there, where exactly do we need to go for this to be a full-blown bullish reversal? Well, there's a few different areas in which we may go to that may see some upward continuation, right? We may see some upward momentum. You know, I think it's important that we do understand and appreciate the fact that, yes, we have made good progress, but we're not out the woods just yet. Okay, now we have our EMAs and we have our Gaussian channels and we have all of those things. We'll go over that a little bit later, but I want to talk about some of our biggest key indicators that, okay, we're out the woods. This is where they'll be, okay? So the first thing I want to see is if we do take our swing high to our swing low here. Boom, let's go here and we go here, right? If we go there, the first and the biggest two levels, I didn't mean to do that. There we go, boom, and I'm gonna get rid of that for now. There we go. What I want to see is how do we start to react to our first zone. Of course, I think that if we are able to push past this high here, this line here, I do believe that we'll enter into our 0.5 to our 382. I would then from there like to see, okay, how do we react to our 0.5? Now, the reason I say that is, yes, I again do believe that our 0.5, realistically, it's not been acting that strongly recently. I'm not 100% sure, but every time that we do hit that 0.5, we're just going through it, above it. You know, we're either going above it or below it, right? It's kind of not moving or holding strong recently, right? So I think that if we can just start to work our way up to it and just push right past it, I'm expecting that we can start to see this work around to the 618. Now, the 618 has, in my opinion, recently been the most important Fibonacci retracement that Bitcoin has seen over the last like 8 months. Okay, now let me explain why. So if I just give you guys a few examples, we can see how the 618 has been a key indicator on what we're seeing. So what we saw here, right, we started to see this fall, we're going, boom, we dead cat bounce, and then we start working our way back up. This is a few weeks, this is early in January. We start to fall down and we see this big candle up, right? We see this big candle up and we start to work our way all the way into the zone. Well, in the 4 hourly, we can see here that we actually got a few closes. Let's zoom out here. Here we go. Boom. Wait, let's go all the way back. It moved me. There we go. So we can see that we actually got a few minor baby closes in this area. Baby closes. Very, very briefly in it, but that was a good sign. Because what Bitcoin has done recently is that if we can work our way just simply into the 618 to the 782, or the 786, I'm sorry, that is a key indicator that we're going to probably be able to push through it. And I'm not sure why it does it, but it's something I've picked up on recently. Because from there, we worked our way in, we saw a few closes. That was a good sign. Now, we did have a doji, so we knew that that fall was coming, but we knew all we got to do is avoid closes, and we just simply need to get our retracement, right? We need to find some support. Well, from there, we start to work our way up. And watch it here. Boom. We go in, and as we start to fall, We go up, we set this high, and as we start to fall, we go all the way down, retrace into the 618, but never close in it. Never close in it, not a single time on this 4 hourly. We don't close in it, and then from there, we use that as support to work our way up. Again, since we didn't work our way and close within this zone, it was a key indicator that the support was established and we can work our way back up. Now, this worked on long terms, as we did just kind of look at. We also had this working out on some of our more mid terms in terms of, how exactly we're bouncing. So over the last few months, whenever we actually did set that high on June 15th, from there, as we did fall and set this low here, we worked our way back up, right? We set a little bit of an uptrend. We had some higher highs. We had some higher lows. Worked our way up, and we just barely touched it, but never closed within it. And that then led to a further fall to the downside. So you can see how this 618 has become so important. We even look at this on a very short term. Look at this on a super duper short term, right? Just a few days. We have our low here. We work our way all the way up. We set our high. Boom. From there, we retrace down, we touch into the 618, but never close within it. We use that as support, and now we're seeing this uptrend begin. Our higher lows, our higher highs, working into an uptrend. So that's why I believe that when we do start to see ourselves grow, right, when we start to work our way back up, let's go to the dailies, that I want to see is if we can get some closes within this frame right here, right? Let me give you an exact number. Boom. Let's say that is going to be right around 51,585. That is still my target area. That is where I will say this bull run does not continue until we clear that. This could be a big dead cat bounce, guys. It really could, because we know that's how falls happen, right? We know that when a fall happens, we see the setting of the high, we fall, we go back up, we retrace to that 618, to that 786, somewhere around here. Boom, we touch and we continue downwards. This could still be a big dead cat bounce. We could still be looking at this. Boom, boom, resistance, 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 continue downside into the bear market, okay? So what we need to do is, again, appreciate this. Be happy that we did have this moment and we have this big green, because that's great. That's great key indicators. But we 100% need to see that over time, we work our way up to this 51,585. We get some closes within it. Even if from there we fall, that's fine. I want to get some closes within it so we can see that upward continuation. And then from there then I'm confident to say, okay, the bull run continues. But if we start to find too much resistance, right, and we're never able to close within it, that could be the touch that we're talking about, which leads us back down. And that wouldn't be a good sign. In terms of if I'm buying right now, personally speaking, I'm not yet. Right? Because the reason I say that is because, sure, the price could go to 51,000 right now, and then from there, that could be a fantastic gain, right? We're looking at some type of gain of, let's see, I mean, that's a gain of about 21%, right? But I think that it's just as likely after 10 days of green that we do see a bit of a pullback. If we do see a pullback plus establishment of support on our 618, if we see something along these lines, like let's go here, even if we do see a fall all the way back down to roughly, let's get that perfect, the 34,184. And if we establish some support here, sure, I may pick up a little bit more, because then I am anticipating that climb upwards, right? But at the moment, I'm not really buying much, because my buying zone has been around this area here, right? And I'm going to show you guys. Let's go back out, go to the weeklies. Here we go. So my buying area has been on this 1.618 from our 2019 all-time high down to our swing low of roughly about these areas, that 3,800 to 4,000 range, right? Every time we would dip into this box, I knew and I felt really strongly that if this bull run was going to continue, we absolutely had to hold this region, because never in a bull run have we lost this. Every time we've lost this and we started to see closes below it, that's been a sign the bear market has started, okay? And so every time we would dip into here, I bought, and I bought again. And so from that, since I do have such a good average right now based off of these buys, I'm kind of just letting this go wherever it wants to go. But personally speaking, if I was going to be buying a little bit more, I would say I would probably wait to see, okay, can we see a pullback? Do we see a pullback back down to like this 34,000 range roughly? And then if that is the case, then I might buy a little bit more in order to take advantage of that run. Because again, if the bull run's going to continue, in my opinion, we have to capture some of those different EMAs that we've talked about, the 200-day. We know that a whole bunch of those different EMAs and moving averages are important. We'll talk about them in another video. But I think that no matter what, this level right here, this area right here, is one of the most important things in which we can keep an eye on, and that's just my opinion. And again, I say it pretty much every video. But guys, these charts are giving everyone different colors. And we're all using the colors that the charts give us to paint pictures that we see. So the picture that I'm painting may be different than the picture that somebody else is painting. The picture I'm painting might be different than the picture you're painting. And that's totally okay, because these charts are just visualizations for us to interpret what they mean. Not for us to see hard-blown facts on what everything means. These are all up for interpretation, and this is just how I interpret it, right? And so with that being said, do what you will with this information, but do understand I don't know everything. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't predict the future, but I can just give you guys my interpretations of it for you to then gather your own opinion and do your own research. So please keep that in mind. I can be wrong. We may see this thing absolutely explode to 60,000 with no type of pullback, no type of support, nothing. Sure. We can also see it crash down to 20,000, and none of us really predicted that to happen. That's how these markets work, and you never really know. So make sure that you're not basing everything you do based off YouTube videos. I'm no know-it-all. Sure, I may have a decent-sized following, but that doesn't mean that I'm all-knowing, okay? Just do understand that this is my opinion. It's my interpretation, and just do what you will with this information. But with that being said, guys, I'm not feeling that good. I'm going to get some rest. I'm probably going to take the day off tomorrow just so I can kind of heal up. I do have surgery next Friday, so I'd like to not be sick going into surgery, just so I don't need any complications. So with that being said, this will probably be the last video for the weekend, but I do have a very, very big announcement coming up on Monday. I hope you guys are excited for it, so definitely stay tuned, and I will see you all then. Peace.